Hey guys, what is up? It is Raven3 back at it again with a continuation of my torso modeling. In today's video, we are going to be talking about arms and legs, the things that will complete the rest of this base mesh and make it look spectacular. And then after that, we're going to be tackling the difficulty that is texturing. Anyways, sit back, relax, grab yourself a nice drink from the Low Poly Cafe. Don't forget to tip your waiter, and let's get right into it. Alright, and starting off, what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to extrude the arms and shrink the ends and do the same with the legs as well. Shrink everything to make sure that everything looks nice and clean and precisely exactly how we want it. Trying to get the exact length to make it look better, just so that everything is more or less aligned properly and looks proportionally correct. Then what we're going to do is we're going to loop cut where the knee should be, then we're going to add those two loops, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to rotate these so that way I can get it kind of like that finger joint, just so that I can simplify that topology a little bit. And then also what I'm going to do is I'm also going to raise out the front of the knee itself, and then also move in the back part of the leg as well, just so that I can verify that I'm kind of looking at the right kind of, proportions of the actual body itself. And then we're going to flatten a little bit of extra vertexes on the top and bottom of the knee, trying to give it a little more definition, so when I get into sculpt mode, I can more easily move around those polygons. Just a bit more scaling and a bit more moving around, as always with all of these models. And then we'll hit that sculpt mode and start picking and pulling at it. Pulling at it in different directions. I would highly recommend using references like I mentioned earlier on with the hands, because references do definitely help a lot, and I'm not using direct 3D model references, but I am using ones that I found off of Google just to help a little bit more with the proportions, because I myself don't know anything when it comes down to proportions. I have almost zero experience when it comes to this. I'm an auto mechanic at heart, so learning art is a very different wheelhouse. Alright, and here what I'm doing is I'm using the pose mode to kind of move around the leg orientation, just so I can get it to look a little bit more natural and a little more organic looking, because there are certain proportions that just look better and operate differently. And I was trying to use pose mode, but it wasn't working, so I ended up just going to the manual edit mode. Because when in doubt, just use edit mode. It will help a lot, and it's a lot more precise, which will end up, I guess if you use it too much, can make it look kind of more non-organic, I guess is the best way to describe it. But yeah, and then we're going to keep doing a little bit more sculpt modes until we decide that it looks more or less like a hand. And then or not hand, but leg. Wow! But then what we're going to do is we're going to do a set of loop cut relaxing across the entire leg, and doing that across it and vertically across it as well. Just so that we can make sure that everything looks nice and evenly spaced, and that everything is in good orientation, and just it looks good, looks proper, looks organized. And then once we get that all taken care of, we're going to unhide everything else and make sure that everything else looks in good order, moving around some of the vertexes that kind of look like they struggled a little bit. We're going to add a little bit of extra definition to the legs, and then after we make sure that everything looks good and do a little bit of extra sculpt tweaks, we're going to move directly on over to the arms. Alright, now that we're at the arms, we are going to add a loop cut here at roughly around the elbow joint area, just so we can make sure that it is nice and sound. Then we're going to do the same thing we did with the legs. We're going to add those other 2 loop cuts. Obviously, we're going to scrunch in that middle area, and then we will rotate the joints later, just so that way it looks nice and professional and actually can move and bend properly. Alright, and then after adding some extra loop cuts so that way we can get proper definition, we're going to make sure that everything is looking nice and clean, a lot more scaling and a lot more, obviously, edit tweaks, because that is what we need to do. And there it is. We're going to be moving that joint so that way we can get that bend joint. And then moving on to sculpt mode and doing a lot more sculpt tweaks. Alright, and then what we're going to do is we're going to turn on our circle select with our X-ray, and then we're going to do that same type of relaxing that we did earlier, doing that horizontal and vertical relaxing of all of the vertexes, just to make sure that they all sit nice and flush, and that way we hopefully don't have any of those weird artifacts or defects in the mesh itself. So just making sure that everything is nice and good. So this is the bicep, and then we're going to unhide everything, and then we're going to select that forearm. And then we're going to do the same type of relaxing here as well. Alright, and then I decided to end up doing that same type of relaxing style for the upper part of the leg, and then after the upper part, also the lower part of the leg. And then after we do all of that, we have officially arms, legs, or sorry, not arms and legs, or no, it is arms and legs. I'm retarded. We have arms and legs on our base mesh, which is awesome and amazing. And everything is just, so perfect. Look at it. This mesh, it looks good. It does look good. I will fully admit it does look good. And it just, yeah. Well, that is definitely, I would think personally a little bit better than all the rest of my meshes. They kind of either are overly dense in certain joint areas and not dense in others, but I think it looks good. I will say, what I am going to do is I am going to skip over the hands and feet because, well, I already have videos on how I made those, and I didn't really change the process of how I made those. So we're just going to slap those on real quick, and boom! Here we are with our finished mesh with our hands and our feet. Okay, these kind of look like clown feet. Whatever, it's fine. But anyways, now that we have this base mesh, next up is going to be seaming, getting seams for our meshes, or mesh, our seams for our mesh, and then also we're gonna start texturing. And this is where my inexperience in art is going to show. But anyways, as always, thank you all for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed. And I'll have to catch you guys on the next one. Until next time. Peace.